Hello, welcome back. This is installment 2 of the how to nail your favorite kendama trick 3 tip video things. And today I'm going to be giving you some tips to help you nail the juggle to spike, the one turn pull up lighthouse, and the sweet special. So without further ado, if you like the video, drop a like or subscribe. Let me know that there are still people that want to see kendama videos on YouTube, and I will keep making them. And let's get into the juggle to spike. Alright, so I'm rocking with the Chrome Pop Kendama, kind of got the Patrick stumped spike, but not too important for the juggle to spike. This is a trick that I actually have the first time I ever hit right here. And it's a super thrilling, exciting trick that I thought was so difficult when I started kendama, but I took some steps and took my own advice to follow these tips, and it really helped me hone these in. So the trick looks like this. Just like that, you see, starting from, just a hanging position, you pull the tama up, juggle, and you, not like that, pull the tama up, juggle, and you land it on the spike. Now, a couple things here. First, I did do a little juggle tutorial on just juggling to big cup, and that's great for kind of how you handle the actual juggle portion. This is more how you're going to guide yourself to actually spike the trick. So I chose to use this dama so that you can really track the hole, which you can see is the white side. And that tracking is what's going to be crucial to hitting the spike. So yeah, tip number 1 is to not pull straight up. You don't want to do that. What you want to do to track the hole so that you can spike it is pull out with a motion kind of like this. So I don't know whether or not you're able to see that, but the hole is facing me the entire time. I can see, since I'm pulling out, I can see where that hole is, and that's going to help me when I do the juggle portion to keep track of the hole and ultimately spike it at the end. So tip 1, pull outwards. Now, once you actually commence the juggle part, I see a lot of people often kind of smack the tama rather than catch it and rethrow it. So I'll show you the difference. Here is what I see a lot of people doing, like smacking the tama up during the juggle. See how I'm kind of just giving it a hand smack and it really puts it out of control? What you want to do is try to, it happens very quick, but try to catch and throw the tama so that you can kind of guide where that hole goes. Something like this. See how I'm able to pause for a minute and really kind of grab and then position and throw the tama back up? That's the second tip that's going to really help you track that hole. When you put it together, that throw is just going to start with the hole kind of facing you, and then that throw is just gently going to guide it back into an upright position. So putting that all together, we're going to pull out so that we can see the hole. Then we're going to not smack the tama, but we're going to gently throw it back up, hopefully keeping it on the same path, and then we're able to see that hole and we can lead it right onto the spike. Just barely got it on there, but you get the idea. Those are 2 tips that really helped me hone in on tracking this hole and landing the juggle onto the spike. Next up, I'm switching to the Zach Gallagher Pro Mod for the one turn lighthouse, and this is a super fun trick which looks like this. Just like so, you see we end up in Lighthouse, and then you can go wherever you want from there. I might tilt the camera a little bit down so you can see better what I'm doing, and I'll give you some tips to nail this down. Alright, hopefully that little bit down will be enough so that when my tama is low you can still see it. And that leads me to the first tip when going for this one turn lighthouse is have the string facing you. So you can see I have the string on the side of the ken that is closer to me rather than having it this way. It's just going to give you a slower turn and make it easier to control. The second thing before we get into the real tip with the motion is that you've got to go with something that's more of a sticky paint, like the Lotus sticky paint, or the Sweet sticky paint is perfect. I find Sweet's Cushion Clear a little bit too sticky and a rubber paint a little bit too slick. So make sure you know your paint and just put your ken on top of your dama and kind of move it around. Make sure that you can balance it on there, or else you're really never going to nail this trick in if you can't do it just like this first. Now, getting into the major tip is that rather than flipping the ken and having it land in Lighthouse on the tama, you kind of want to follow the flip and let it climb onto the tama. And I'll try to show you the difference right now. So this is what you don't want to do. So you see how the ken is flying up in the air and then coming down. I want to make sure you can see it's going up in the air, doing the turn, and then coming down onto the tama. That's going to give it a really rough like landing, and it's going to be hard for you to, you know, cushion that fall. What you want to do is try to pull up the ken in a way that when it turns, it is turning just directly onto the tama, and then you don't have to do so much adjusting, and it'll kind of cushion its own fall and stick right on there like that. So that's what we're going to try to do. We're going to try to pull up the ken in a way that it flips and just rolls onto the tama as opposed to falling on it. So you saw there, it didn't at all really fall down onto the tama. It's me following the spin with my hand and letting it come to rest as it would if it was like climbing up the side of the tama. You know what I mean. For the last trick, I switched back to the chrome pop, which I guess is a little unfitting because the trick we are looking at is the sweet special, and that looks something like this. So obviously there are a few key elements to this trick involving like the swinging around your finger and around the spike and stuff, and a lot of that is covered really well in the Sweets Kendama's tutorial, which you can find on their YouTube channel if you just Google Sweet Special tutorial. I don't want to get into like the super nitty-gritty of how like this motion works. Of course, you can kind of just watch it in slow motion and see. I'm more going to be focusing on some tips once you know the motion, but it's not really going your way, tips to get it to go your way. So the first tip that really helped me nail this trick down is a shorter string. And that's the reason I switched back to this chrome pop. It's got about a 4 to 5, maybe 5 or 6 finger string at most. And that's like been super crucial in getting me to nail this trick, especially the landing. If you're on a longer string, that spinning circle is so much bigger, and trying to pull in the ken and the tama to like spin properly and land on the spike is way more difficult. So my first tip is just, if you're struggling with the Sweet Special, try it on a dama with a shorter string. Now once you've got your shorter string and you're comfortable with this motion over your finger, over the spike and onto the cup, then you know the next part is the most difficult. Not the spinning it around and round, but actually pulling it and getting it to spin in a way that you can land the tama on the spike. The key to getting it to come down successfully is the release point and how you release that spinning motion. So intuitively, once you have it up here and you're spinning, right, you might want to release it and kind of like throw it up in the air. That's kind of what I like naturally thought, something like this. See how I kind of, when it was out here swinging up, I threw it up in the air, caught the ken, but the tama was not spinning anywhere near in my favor. What you want to do is utilize this finger, which once you're in this position, this finger is the one that's going to be doing the swinging. And when you want to release, you want to use this finger almost like you're pulling the trigger of a gun. I think that's even how Matt Sweets described it in his tutorial. You want to make sure you really give that finger a pull and pull it towards you. Don't pull it up in the air or, you know, down or left or right. You want to flick your trigger finger towards you, and I'll try to illustrate as best I can the difference that makes. So maybe I'll have to cut to some slow-mo or a close-up, but I give my finger a little tug like this when the tama is not quite on its way up, but once it's at like the outer part and it's out here, I pull it in towards me, not up in the air, I pull it towards me, and that's what's going to allow the tama to rotate in a way that when you catch the ken, the spike will be in the place to go. It's really confusing with all these different names, but hopefully the slow-mo will illustrate that kind of finger flick to get the tama to actually roll in your favor. I remember when I first learned this, I was constantly, I'd spin it, and I'd throw it up in the air, and like the tama was just anywhere near the spike. So following this tip I think should help you out, and I really hope it does because the sweet special looks really cool, and I want you guys to be nailing it. Like I said in the beginning, drop a like if you want to let me know that you enjoyed this video, and drop a comment like what tricks do you want tips on next. I know someone mentioned the one-turn lighthouse to me, and I thought, hey, that's a good idea. I should teach, what helped me nail that down. Kendama content will be coming as long as you guys are watching and enjoying it. So with that all said and done, I think those are all the tips and things I have to say, and I'll send you on your way. Grab your dama, go practice, rewind and slow down the video and zoom in or whatever you got to do to make the most use of these tips, and I will see you in the next Kendama or Lego or what else do I do, puzzles and all that other jazz. Yeah, that's it. Peace.